Order.
Say the meeting is called to order.
Order, order.
The meeting is called to order. Let's stand for invocation by Pastor Mike Swingle. Good job. Is the pastor here?
Pastor Smith.
The pastor didn't make it? Well, we'll do a silent invocation then.
Amen.
Lead us in the pledge. Flag's over there. Go ahead. Yeah, you started.
I almost want to say
Just say I pledge.
in my.
I pledge allegiance. You want to say
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job. You can go if you'd like. You want to sit up here for some more? You can sit there for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Councilmember Ford.
Present.
Councilmember Bastion.
Here.
Councilmember Stoker.
Here.
Vice Mayor Tremont.
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. We have a quorum. All are present. Public comments on consent agenda items only. Would anyone from the public like to speak from any item on the consent agenda? There being none, I need a motion from council to approve tonight's agenda for the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting agenda for the evening. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? We have an agenda for tonight. We need a motion to approve the items on consent.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda. May I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Councilmember Ford.
Yes.
Councilmember Bastion.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoker.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tremont.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. And just like that, you knocked out the first 10 items off the agenda. Well done. With that, we're going to do the Police Department Recognition Awards. Chief, if you come up, and Council, if you join them down below, let's go down. We're going to do for them what we did for the Girl Scouts before the meeting.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening to our citizens. We have two officers that are receiving awards tonight from our police department and one citizen. So we're going to start with Officer Darren Starling. So Officer Starling, front and center, please. On July 16th, 2019, Officer Darren Starlin responded to a call from a local restaurant in reference to CPR. Upon his arrival, Officer Starlin quickly realized that the citizen was choking. Officer Starlin performed the Heimlich maneuver and CPR, subsequently dislodging the food stuck in the patient's throat. The patient became alert and conscious on scene, but was transported to the hospital for precautionary health reasons. Later in his tour, Officer Starlin checked on the patient and learned that he was okay. The swift and decisive actions by Officer Starlin resulted in saving a citizen's life. Officer Darren Starlin is to be commended for his quick reaction to a life-threatening situation, his ability to maintain his composure, and his exceptional performance during a medical emergency. The Port Orange Police Department takes great pride in presenting Officer Darren Starling with this award achievement. Thank you and congratulations to him. Darren, not yet. Hold on, we got to get a picture. We're gonna get Yep. Okay. The next officer is Officer Jared Alivisatos. Officer Alivisatos. So, Mayor and Council, you'll notice I joked with Jared as he came in this evening. I told him we're going to reserve a seat here for him because, if you remember, it's been like 3 months in a row he's been standing in front of us getting awards. Jared's one of our very active officers and does a great job for us. On this particular evening, on August 4th, 2019, Officer Jared Alivisatos responded to the 1100 block of Dunlawton Avenue for a report of a male walking into traffic and yelling at passing vehicles. Upon arrival, Officer Alivisatos was able to observe a male standing in the median of Dunlawton Avenue, waving his arms and screaming at passing traffic. Officer Alivisatos approached him, and the male told the officer that he was having a conversation with God. Officer Alivisatos began communicating with the male, while the male continued to yell towards the sky. As Officer Alivisatos continued trying to communicate with the male ran towards the travel portion of Dunlawton Avenue where oncoming traffic was coming. Officer Alivisatos quickly was able to pull the male out of the road and away from the oncoming traffic. A citizen who observed this interaction contacted the police department and reported that the officer was not only that he acted very professional in an unusual circumstance, but that the officer saved the man's life. Officer Jared Alivisatos is to be commended for his swift and decisive actions during this incident, resulting in the protection of life. The Port Orange Police Department takes great pride in presenting this award of achievement to Officer Jared Alivisatos. You should know this by now.
If anybody knows the drill, it's you, right?
We're gonna bring his own photographer, so.
And we have one more, and this is a very special award. It's a citizen commendation for Mr. Sean Albritton.
You're welcome, sir.
On August 3rd, 2019, citizen Sean Albritton was inside a local convenience store on Nova Road. While there, he saw a male take a 24-pack of beer and walk out the door without paying for it, while the store clerk yelled for the male to stop. Mr. Albritton saw the male suspect was going to escape after committing a theft, and he did not intervene. Mr. Albritton got into his vehicle, took a route to intercept the thief who was on foot. At one point, Mr. Albritton saw the suspect and he exited his vehicle and yelled for the male to stop. Once Mr. Albritton was able to contact the male suspect, he walked him back into the store with the stolen 24-pack of beer and detained the suspect until police arrived on scene. As a direct result of Mr. Albritton's willingness to be involved, the suspect was arrested and charged with felony retail theft due to the suspect's multiple past convictions for theft. He was also charged with violation of probation in reference to a burglary that was previously committed in our community. Without the assistance of Mr. Albritton, this felony suspect may have eluded capture, and we would not have removed him from our community. The citizen commendation is presented to Mr. Sean Albritton for his courage and selfless service to the community by not tolerating criminal activity. He's to be commended for his actions as they reflect credit upon himself and show that the residents of Port Orange are willing to be involved with the protection of our city. Congratulations, Mr. Albritton.
Important question. What brand of beer was it? It wasn't worth it then.
No, it wasn't. When he steals, he's stealing out of my pocket too, in your pocket, her pocket, his pocket, and everybody else's pocket. I don't like it.
Not in our town.
Sure, you realize that's our neighbor, right? Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. And that wasn't planned either.
No, this is
No.
Hold on, one more picture.
Sean, one last thing, just very small token of our appreciation, a coffee mug. You can think of us in the morning when you have coffee, and more importantly, is a challenge coin from the police department. A challenge coin is somebody who meets a challenge and has overcome it, and we appreciate your services, not only to the police department, but the entire city of Port Orange. So thank you, and please accept that. Yes, that's it.
And you get to sit here. And you have a bottle of water if you get thirsty. Here we go. Report from Camper Sports on the Cypress Head Golf Course. Mr. Bob Duquette. I know I saw him in the house somewhere. There he is.
Bob, what's going on here?
I must have
Purple
called you
thing
to
going
make
on.
it lavender.
There you go.
Pink and purple month.
Good evening, Bob Duquette, General Manager, Cypress Head Golf Course, members of the council, Mr. City Manager, Mr. Mayor. This is a report operational for the month of August 2019 for Cypress Head, golf related only. Our revenues for August finished a little bit lower than our projected budget for the month. Combination of the triple-digit heat indexes, the heavy amounts of afternoon thunder showers, and the fact that we did some aerification on our greens in the beginning of the month. And unfortunately, a lot of the players are not conducive to playing on top dress greens, so they have a tendency to let the greens themselves heal up for about 10 days to 2 weeks. So from that point of view, that did reduce a little bit of our numbers of rounds. Our payroll for the month was equal to our budget amount, and our operating...
Excuse me one second. Is that your bag?
It is?
Okay, just want to make sure somebody didn't leave it there. Okay. You're doing well. Go right ahead.
Okay. Yes, that is mine.
Thank you.
You don't have to leave.
Our operating expenses did finish lower to our budgeted amount as well. Month of August is actually our 11th month in the fiscal year, and our revenues are a little bit lower than projected. Our range is lower, and our pro shops are definitely higher than the amount budgeted. Payroll and operating expenses are both lower than our budgeted amounts for the year. In terms of tee sheet activity, we had 2,851 total rounds, which included 2343 paid rounds, 238 annual rounds, and 270 other rounds. In terms of our course and grounds, Ken Cascadden, who has been our new superintendent, we just had a golf board meeting. He's been at those meetings explaining as to what goes on with the golf course. He's been evaluating all the areas of the maintenance, and I'm here to say that in the course of the 60 days that he has been here, we've gotten a lot of comments regarding the improvement, conditioning of the course, the fairways, the greens, everything around the course conditions themselves. So he's proven to be a really good hire, and he keeps working hard to get the course back to everything that we want it to be for the city of Port Orange. One of the priorities that we did have, and we've been discussing this with the golf board, is problems that we're having with our current irrigation systems. Due to the age of the system, which is well over 25 years old, we've had an increase in our repair costs, joint connections, sprinkler heads, and the satellite control boxes. So the golf board is going to undertake a little bit of some evaluation as to where we need to go further to help us out. My staff at Cypress Head continues to offer a lot of lesson packages, both beginners as well as advanced, as well as golf get ready programs and junior programs as well. Happy to note that we just hired a new assistant golf professional who comes from us from Amelia Island, the Ritz-Carlton, and his strong point is actually junior programs. So it's one of the things that I know that the council likes, and one of the things that we've been invested in to try to get a little bit more of the junior play coming into Cypress Head itself. So we've welcomed Dylan to our staff, so we're really excited about having him on board. In terms of our Mindshare reviews, we send out questionnaires on a monthly basis, and the overall rating for the golf course was an 8.7. Our course rating is increased to a 7.8, and our service rating is a 9.5. The Cypress Head passes, our fiscal year, of course, started today. So we've had a renewal of many of our Cypress passes, which is available for the 2020 season. And also at that point, legacy passes that have been in the past, as well as trail fees for people that have been using their carts on our property. And again, due to the success of the junior programs, Dylan's going to be spearheading some Saturday clinics as well as some evening after-school junior programs. So we're really excited about all the changes at Cypress Head and the improvements. Do you have any questions?
Oh, I'm sure we do, Marilyn.
Well, I would just say, Bob, I haven't noticed much difference in your reports. You have numbers, but you're not talking about outcomes. That's what I asked you the last time you made a report. I'm going to withhold any further comments, but please understand they're coming in detail, and I don't appreciate being ignored. I think I speak for the citizens. They want value for their money, and they want to understand the outcomes. They just don't want numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob, I'm going to have more questions and comments regarding course rating, but I regretfully to say I haven't been out there to look at it. I'm not used to seeing a 7.8 course rating. I think that's, but I can't speak to that since I haven't been out there. But I just, the amount.
Well,
can you speak to it?
Sure, absolutely. The good news is that, of course, as you all are probably aware of, we had some difficulties back in the springtime. So the beginning of our new superintendent, from him adding on, we've improved the conditioning in terms of the greens, the fairways, and the tee boxes. A different combination of fertilization, weed control, and everything else. So we had some difficulties with some of the greens. All of that has been recovered. Sue Lavallo, who is our contact through the city Parks and Rec, has been out on property to drive around, evaluated the conditioning itself, and has spoken highly at the golf board meeting tonight about the conditioning, the improvements. And actually, we're getting a lot more positive comments from most of our players as to the recovery of the conditioning of the course. It's much more playable. It's much more defined. It's a much better looking, and I would definitely wish that you could come out, and I invite everybody to come out and drive around with me. I'd love to show you the golf course. It's in really good shape right now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I plan to. Thanks.
Drew?
Not too much. How are the events doing, and because you're out there on a regular basis, so like the restaurant, are you seeing, good activity at the restaurant, and are we doing more events, less events this time of year?
We're starting to get into our tournament season, so for the month of October, November is going to be our biggest one. I think we have something almost every weekend planned.
Wow. Okay.
So Reggie's been working really hard at getting those events. I know we've got the Miracle League, Toys for Tots, and a few other events.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
we've already had one for the last 2 weekends. The Kornacki Foundation for Mental Health, as well as, I'm drawing a blank on the other one, but it's much better, tournament season at this point.
Okay. Good.
So we're improving with that, and people are very happy. It's a good ability for us to raise money for the golf course itself, because we have a built-in audience. We're going to get anywhere from 80 to 100 to 120 players that are committed to play. So they will play whether or not it's raining or anything else. So it's been good financial from that point.
Good. Thank you.
Scott?
I would definitely agree that the conditions have improved, especially from where we were in June.
Yes.
And so appreciate that. Stay on top of that. We're obviously coming into the golfing season, if you will.
It's October. It's time.
Yeah, it's time.
Yep.
So there couldn't be a better time to at least us be on the improvement upswing. So that's great.
Yes.
And with the weather starting to change and our snowbirds coming down south and things like that, hopefully we'll see a lot more rounds through the good part of the season and the good part of the year, and just share our thoughts and sentiments with your new groundskeeping team.
Yep.
What the expectations are and what we're looking for, and appreciate the efforts on improving that.
Yeah, we're starting to see some of the snowbirds starting to trickle down a little bit here at this point, so.
Yeah, I've seen.
We're looking forward to
it looks
a
like there's
good
been quite a
October.
few out this week and toward the latter part of last week in between the rain showers. You can almost hardly never pass down on Airport Road and not see folks out there playing golf
Yeah.
on the course. So that's always a pretty.
It has
decent
definitely
gauge.
improved.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the part where you're gonna read
Citizen
participation.
Osprey Landing Apartments.
Okay. Well done. In case you all haven't noticed, everybody watching at home, we have the Girl Scouts here with us tonight helping out.
Thank you. My name's John Dupont. I represent an affordable housing development group. This is going to be the controls. JPM Outlook. And I'm here tonight to make the city aware of an opportunity to bring affordable housing into the city. I know a lot of you good people have heard for years about how these tax credit projects never seem to get awarded in your city. The development community, we have our own opinions about the random lottery system they use. But again, tonight there is a new opportunity I want to make you aware of. Florida Housing Finance Corporation, who administers these funds, has come up with a goal. They call it their local government area of opportunity funding goal. And what this does is, if a community or a local government will support a project financially, they will take you out of the 150 applications lottery and put you in a much smaller lottery. Last year it was about 20 applications that communities have awarded this funding to. And this year they're going to award a minimum of 4 projects to that special government funding opportunity area goal. So it exponentially increases your chances of being selected in the lottery, which is significant because you really only get one shot a year. Our project, I've presented some information on it, but we wanted to give you the opportunity to make a preference on whether you'd like to see a family community or a senior community, which is age restricted. The first scenario I'm going to run through will give you an outline of the family, but they're quite similar, particularly in their financial structure. They're both of them 104 units. Just click this. Both of the, this is addressing the family project, but they're targeted to families with incomes below the 60% AMI for the area. That's the federal definition of affordable. The project will have a total budget of over $20 million. Most of that funds will come from federal tax credits that are awarded through the Treasury Department to Florida Housing to be allocated in these competitions to the projects that they award. We're not looking for any type of tax abatement or any type of waiver of fees. We will pay that in the initial construction and also through the life of the project, full ad valorem taxes. The site we've chosen is at 1040 Herbert Street near the intersection of Nova. It's a site we've worked in the past at least twice, I know, over the last 5 or 6 years. It's ideally situated. It's in a CDBG zone, which will make it eligible for further federal fundings, and the zoning is currently in place. What we need, and this is not our number, but Florida Housing has set a threshold of $354,000 to qualify for this special set-aside, as I call it. There was a competition in Volusia County. They were going to dedicate $300,000 of SHIP money. That's not been awarded this project. We're not quite sure of the location of the project they awarded. The announcement just came out Monday, and there's been no publication on the details. But we're not asking for a grant. We're asking for a loan. And the proposed terms on the loan would be a soft second mortgage for that full amount, which would be repaid fully during the 20-year cycle of the project. The project really doesn't need this money financially. We need it to get the points to be awarded the grant money through Florida Housing. We could put that in a hard second mortgage. I've submitted to your financial staff a pro forma showing that the project is in the black. You got a good debt service ratio coverage. The project is conservative or written under standard underwriting terms. Vacancies at 7%, which is much higher than most of our existing projects. The point is that the project will be financially sound and able to repay this money. I've got another page in here on proposed rents that'll show you how important this is to deliver Class A, quality, beautiful, affordable housing at rents that are far below market rate, 25 to 50%. This, again, we're taking advantage of federal tax money that you've been paying to the Treasury for years and pulling that back as an asset into the community. So it's getting the award is the challenge. The project is well worth the effort. Your staff has asked me, suggested that I explain why we're up here at such a late date asking for this assistance. But as you can see, it's been a tight submittal schedule all along because Florida Housing just announced that this award would be on such a short notice. What I'm showing you here in this schedule is the project would not be awarded until next year, and the money would not be needed until sometime in 2022. When the project was stabilized, then under Florida Housing rules, that's when the contribution would be made. It is not in this fiscal cycle nor 21. It's would be due in 22, and I can show you how the rules are structured on that. The second project is very similar, and I won't spend a lot of time but this is a project that we built in New Smyrna, or excuse me, in Pasco County. It's 104 units, seniors, has all kinds of amenities from swimming pools and libraries. I mean, it's the kind of property you'd pay $1,500 a month plus, but you're doing it for the basically the same rent structure I showed you earlier. Great asset, show place to bring people, particularly your senior citizens. But either one of these projects would be competitive in the process with the local government funding, which we realize is a lot of money, but we want to stress the fact that we're paying it back and that the money will not be due or needed until 22.
Not needed to when?
2022. When the project is built and stabilized, fully occupied for 6 months, yet when normal mortgages stabilize. And that's when money would have to be available. Is there any questions? We've turned in our resumes and experience. I think the staff has circulated that. We have a project we were awarded last year, so I can't speak too harshly about the lottery. That's over in Hernando County. It will break ground in January.
Mayor, I do have a question. Do the Florida rules prohibit early repayment of a loan?
I don't think so. No, I've never been asked that, but I think
Okay,
you're correct.
because where I'm going with this is you indicated you don't need the money financially because you're in the black. You really only need our loan commitment and us to give you the loan is for the points. So I guess my thinking is, if you get the grant, can we build it, the contract, so that you repay it by year number 2, 2024 or 2025?
I brought the form with me, and I
Uh-huh.
don't think the wording in the form would allow that. They ask you for the term of the loan.
Can
They're
you
up
check
there-
that legally?
Yes, I can.
Because
I
my
can very
concern
well.
is, if we, and I'm familiar with
The longer
governments
the
that.
term, the longer the exposure.
Right. The
Yeah.
other thing is, I'm familiar where government has done loans in the community interest, but my concern is every time we loan you money, we're reducing our ability to take on debt, and that's one of the things we're looking at. So I would be very interested whether Florida rules prohibit early repayment of the loan. Now, maybe we can't do it in 2 or 3 years, which I would like, but if we could do it in 5 or 10, half of 20, that makes it much more attractive.
I'll defer to the Florida housing rules, which, that's a very creative question. I will look into it, but I believe that they've disallowed many things like fee waivers and, connection fees. They won't count that. And I'll submit that to the staff. I think I already have the verbatim rule out of the RFA.
Let's find out.
Years 1 through 10 says no prepayment.
No prepayment.
1 through
No,
10?
this is not prepayment, this is early repayment, or accelerated repayment.
Again, we'd have to follow the rules or our application
Right.
would be thrown out.
Right, I
Everybody's
understand, but the
wasting their
lawyers
time.
understand that sometimes, if something is not specifically spelled out, there may be a way to accomplish
Hey,
some good.
I like creativity.
What else you got?
My other question would be, on your listing, your timeline, I understand you need the commitment in October.
November 5th is the deadline.
Okay, but we have another council meeting in 2 weeks on
Right.
October 15th. So
Right.
I'm thinking, is there any harm in, if we were to decide to delay our decision so that that could be checked out and we could think
I
about
would welcome
it?
further consideration. But again, October 15th would be the drop dead.
Council, I'd like everybody to know that we have not staffed this yet.
Anything else, Marilyn?
No.
Chase, you got any questions?
First of all, I see the need for affordable housing, certainly in this area. No question about it. And I think it is, I think there's a place for local government involvement in that. I appreciated Marilyn's question about early repayment because I saw the 20 years on there and it didn't sit well with me. But I appreciate that it's a loan and not a grant. I'm not prepared to make any sort of commitment tonight, but I can say I would consider it further. Okay. My question is, we're so under the gun on this. How come you haven't gone through our staff? Because I rely heavily on our staff.
He's brought things to the staff. We have not staffed it yet.
Well,
Usually when things come up to us, you've had many people come up to you. You've had one-on-ones with them, and then we've had it go through community development. I haven't spoken to the lawyers about the feasibility of it. I've briefly spoken to our grant manager about CDBG, as I think you all know because we just approved it. The CD and the previous person that came, our CDBG plan does not have affordable housing as part of the CDBG money goal. There's other places to get $300,000 to loan somebody, but right now it's not in that plan.
Before staff spends too much time on it, staff needs to know how we feel about it.
True, and also that we have traditionally, council in the past has decided that the CDBG funds will solve the nearest alligator to our ankles, which is flooding. So that's where a majority of our money is going, in those areas where Maryland gets knocks on the door every time it rains about why is this water in my backyard, especially District 1, which was a majority where the blighted area and the CDBG area is.
Any other
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah, no, just final comment. I'd like our staff to look at it. I can't commit to it. That's a big number you're asking. It was a whole lot easier to consider with the 54. But at the same time, I see the need. I recognize there's a need for that in this county, and if we can play a role, and maybe we can. But I'd like our staff to look at it. I rely pretty heavily on our community development director and our manager.
We appreciate that opportunity. We met with the planner and with the grants staff, but perhaps we need to have some discussions with the fiscal department too. But again, we're open. Whatever we can make work, we will make it work. As developers, you know, we're gonna invest probably $25,000 just to put the application in of our own money. It's what we do for a living. It's the cost of doing business. But this is a unique opportunity to almost assure you're gonna bring in $20 million worth of federal funds. And if you don't get the award, the deal's void. It's dead. So it's you know, risk and return, and the fact that the project is going to pay its own way. The property taxes are, you guys know what the assessments are around here. I mean, it's going to be an asset. It's not going to be something that's just a dead loss. So I appreciate the opportunity to come back and meet with the staff in the meanwhile.
So you need this because without commitment from local municipalities,
We're going to be thrown in that large lottery pool. It's the difference of 4 out of 30, or maybe 4 or 5 out of 150. So, I mean, you don't have to be a mathematician to see why it's important.
Drew?
So I do see the need and understand the need. I just don't know that I could commit $354,000 and tie it up for 20 years.
Perhaps there's a way to move that number around. Let's try to talk about it.
Yeah, the 20-year commitment, you know, 1% is, it's a long time to tie up that kind of money. So definitely, you know, could possibly consider a shorter.
At a rate of
5 to
return that is below the rate of inflation.
Yeah, 5 to 10 years, but no way I can commit to 20.
We'll do what the rule allows.
Yeah, I get you. I
Scott?
understand.
Yeah, for me, I'd have to have a lot more staff involvement and information here from the staff as to why we would or wouldn't want to be involved in this or not. That aside, the project site, I have a lot of concerns with this particular site location. 104 units, even half of that in this area could be majorly problematic on a lot of fronts for
That
us.
is a very, very difficult intersection now.
It's horrible. The proximity to the school and the campgrounds and the main intersection, and just the curvatures of the road and the utilities in that area and stuff. There's just all kinds of issues there that come to mind when I even envision a project of half this size in that area. So, but anyhow, I do appreciate you coming to us and bringing some information, but this would definitely be something where I'd be looking for a lot more staff involvement and insight.
And I'm going to be honest with you as well, when it comes to a project this size, I think I see there is a need. We definitely have it here. We have it in all our communities. But when I drain my treasury of this money, I've got to decide what it is I'm not doing to do it. We've committed a sizable amount of money in a budget this year, and now I've got to decide which road I'm not going to pave, which water project I'm not going to do, which flood project am I not going to do. So it's, for us and for me, it's not just looking at it on the face value, is this something I want to do? It's also a trade-off for something that, to me, the loan itself doesn't pay the cash value, future value of the loan, when your payback, it doesn't even equal the rate of inflation.
Again, let me just respond that the site is fully zoned and
I understand that.
entitled. That's what brings us to a site, because of the proximity, the bus route that's right
Got
on the
it.
corner and
Oh, I
all that.
understand that.
It's sort of a social engineering, but that site is ideally situated under that standard, not necessarily practical.
Under the
standard.
practical standard, you and I would just have to disagree.
I'm not going to argue the point. The point is that Florida Housing, that scores max on their scale.
And I think my difficulty is the financial obligation, because not only would, I don't see that as a profitable move, but whether that is or not, the decision of what it is that I'm not doing when we're having trouble funding our projects to begin with, the trade-off, it's a difficult one for me.
Yeah.
If somebody's able to proceed with a housing project there, and I were to fall in that category, I could see that as being a very desirable area that I would want to live in. I get that. But as far as the commitment that it would take and the impact it would have, it's not something I really want to pursue as far as our participation. That's my opinion. But council, whatever you, if you guys want to pursue it, let me know. I'll entertain a motion. Otherwise, I'll let it be.
Well, it's not something I want to make a decision on now. I'd like to get staff input.
Okay.
Because Scott said it well. I don't know if I.
And I don't have to
want or
entertain a
want.
motion tonight from you.
I don't have a motion for.
If there's no motion to be made right now, then we don't have to entertain one. Thank you.
May I ask for direction on how to communicate with the staff? What should I do? Who should I contact?
Through the city manager.
Will I reach out to you?
Sure.
Yep.
You've been in touch with Tim? That's fine. We'll get.
They've given us a lot of cooperation.
Great.
Thank you for that.
Yep, they're good people.
All right, thank
Thanks.
you.
Have a good night.
Now you get over, read the word citizen participation.
Citizen participation.
Very good. Maria DeVilla.
Hello,
How are
everyone.
you?
I'm fine, thank you. I am here on behalf of Promise Provision. We're a nonprofit that we focus on disaster relief, and right now we have a huge operation we're doing in the Bahamas. It started with just a small drive that I done, and it's multiplied. I've had multiple businesses do drives, host drives. We went as far as, I was actually there this weekend, and we are working very close with somebody from the Parliament that give us total clearance to bring things aboard. We have a vessel that holds 8 boxes, a 150-foot vessel, holds, each box is 20 feet long, to bring donations in and out of the country. And I'm just here to ask for some kind of support from the community. We can take support financially, we can take support by volunteers, helping us work in the warehouse and sort through donations and palletize them and get them shipped. And I can't express, I was in Freeport this past weekend, and I went, I like to go and assess things before I send things to make relationships and connections, so I know our donations are going right where they need to go. And they gave me, like a little mini tour, and one of the areas we went in was, just like our neighborhood here, homes of police officers, school teachers. All these homes were underwater, all of them, and these people have nowhere to go. They're still paying mortgages, and they're living in these homes that are now filled with mold, no furniture or anything. So I'm very passionate about helping these people, and I want to just express, this could have been us. This could have been our community, and by building these relationships and helping our neighbors in the Bahamas, you never know if we're going to need help ourselves. So I'm here to present that to you and see if I can get the support from the city to go forward and, do some fundraising events, ask our businesses, or maybe the police department to do a drive, just to help us get things over there.
Maria, you and I met the other day, and I appreciate it, and I really wanted you to tell people what you saw, and that is just heart-wrenching over there.
Yeah.
And I know that I'd like you to reach out to the city manager's office, because I know there, you talked about potentially of maybe doing a benefit concert, and I told you that
Mhm.
there are ways that we do that, and that we can defer some of the cost of that, and I'll let you guys discuss it. But one thing I did want you to do is tell people who are watching at home right now, this broadcast, how they can help, how they can reach you.
Anyone is free to call me, or they can find me on Facebook. I do have a page called Healthy Souls International, but I do work under the nonprofit Promise Provision. We are teaming up.
And what's that Facebook page name again?
Healthy Souls International.
Okay.
And anyone is welcome to message me if they want to host a drive. The Girl Scouts could even host a drive. Some of the greatest needs right now are, like, I'm really focused on helping this one neighborhood that I went into, where all the families are living in these homes. I could drive through the neighborhood and smell the mold. It was really bad. And I would like to get tents and tarps, you know, to put over their roofs, tents for them to sleep in while they, you know, rebuild and make their homes ready for people. And
And they can-
I could give my number. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but
Well, you can do that if you want. It's just as how often you want your phone to ring. Go ahead.
well, it's a good cause, so
Give them an email too.
Yes, 386-679-1359, and my email is mldhealthysouls@icloud.com.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions?
I do not, but appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. One neighborhood at a time. That's how they're going to recover.
Exactly.
Thanks, Marie.
Thank you.
All right. This is the part where you say council comments.
Council comments.
All right. Scott.
I just want to say how excited I am that the Girl Scouts are here tonight.
That's awesome.
They should come every Tuesday night.
Drew?
Yes, it's great to see the young ladies here in the audience, and just wanted to thank staff and employees and everybody involved. We had a nice event at the City Center Family Days. It went over well, and appreciate everybody's effort and hard work to make it happen. Thank you all.
Absolutely. Chase, you got anything?
Yeah, a little disappointed that the Girl Scouts didn't bring any cookies.
It's not that time of year.
It's always that
Always
time.
that time of year.
Never a bad time of year for that.
Sorry I missed the family days. Had to go out of town, but heard just wonderful things about it. So as always, my hat's off to our Parks and Rec staff for pulling that off. Brief announcement on First Step. We had just, before I got here, I'm sorry I missed the presentation, we had just finished interviewing and hiring our new executive director. I'll tell you about her later on. Wonderful, wonderful lady. And also just a comment on, I really appreciated doing the officer recognition. You know, we used to do that beforehand. I appreciate doing that during council time and get airtime for that. You know, you hear so, every time you hear about police officers, it's always in a negative light, and just hear too much of that. So it's all, you know, you hear about two of our guys saving lives. I mean, those are just great stories to be told. So I appreciate us moving that to an on-air time frame for everyone to get to share that information. That's all I got. That's it.
Marilyn?
I would echo Drew's comments. Congratulations to Community Trust and to City Parks and Rec that really did yeoman's job over the weekend. Shout out again to Port Orange University, all the people that are seeing that. Yesterday I stayed and listened to finance and purchasing and contracts and grants. It was a wonderful presentation. I encourage all citizens who haven't gone through. It's eye-opening, and you'll come back even more proud of your city. And then my final thing is a question. Jake, can you give us an update? What is the status of the church on Madeline? Have they been complying with the requirements to keep it tidy and improve the outside? And or maybe this is a question for the chief in terms of
No,
code
it's-
enforcement.
It's a question for me, but I haven't heard from code, and they've been riding them pretty hard, but I'll provide an update in the weekly.
Great.
That'll
Okay.
give you that, and a lot of the citizens read that as well, so we'll provide that update with where they are. I've seen people on scaffolding. I'm not telling you they're working, but
I've seen a lot of people.
I've seen people on scaffolding, so at least they're making it look good.
There are
That-
no holes anymore in any windows.
Right,
and all the
so,
windows.
so I'll provide you that update weekly.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Little sidebar conference here.
Alana, please stand up.
Oh, man.
Please come up here and take your turn. Wait a second. Thank you very much for your help.
Great job, Tim.
Jake, the only thing I had tonight is I wanted you to see what you could do to get your crack team in the PIO's office to see what we could do to bolster the effort to get awareness of the Census 2020 out. I'm sure that crack team of one probably will have some ideas on how it is that we as a city, I don't know whether bumper stickers on city cars or whatever the case is, but the 2020 census is certainly an opportunity for us, and I want to make sure that we execute it as best we can.
We'll get you a blue hat that says 2020 census on front,
There you
right
go.
up here. So Christine Martindale's on the county's committee with Billy Wheeler as well. So I'll get together with Christine, see what they're doing there, and see if we can dovetail on any of the stuff they're doing. If not, we'll go forth and see what we can get done on our own to promote that. Make sure everybody participates.
Very good. Okay, you're going to read city attorney into the microphone.
City Attorney.
There you go, Margaret.
Mayor and council members, I've given you a letter of resignation effective December 2nd. I want to thank each of you for this opportunity to serve the city. It's been a great time over the years. I want to thank my staff. They make our legal work possible. They're there in the long run for you. I'm just a short timer now. And I want to thank Jake's management team. They've been great to work with. This city has seen a lot of progress in the last 20 years. It's been fun. And I'm going to go do it again in another city. Maybe not 20 years, though.
I was thinking about where I was 20 years ago. I've got 2 kids in college right now. And when you started here, one of them hadn't even been born yet. That's a long time and a lot
Yes.
of service to a community.
Just yesterday.
That's it.
And I was a Girl Scout, too.
Still are. Got any cookies left?
Yeah.
Margaret, I can't extend more appreciation than just my dearest and truest thank you for your service to us and making sure that this council has what it needs, that our needs are met and that we're ready every time we come up here.
It's been my pleasure.
Comments? Chase?
Sure. Margaret, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
You know what in high regard I hold you. You know, you've been very, since 15 running for office, you know, the opportunity to sit down with you. In addition, and watching you out there for a number of years, not only your knowledge has always been something to write home about, but also your demeanor and your approachability, and that's such a your humility just comes through in every interaction that we have, and that's, you know, it's what makes this community so great. So many people like that, and you represent the best of that. So I certainly wish you very well. Our loss, their gain, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Marilyn?
Well, our interactions have been brief, but certainly you have the experience that I always heard Bob say you have. And I think your real hallmark is you are always looking out for the city's best interest, which really is the highest purpose, I think, of your office and what you can do. So I wish you nothing but good luck.
Thank you.
Drew?
Margaret, certainly appreciate nearly 2 decades of dedicated service, and with Marilyn, I agree. You have a wealth of knowledge and experience, and just the way you go about doing things is appreciated. I appreciate the help that you've given me over the years, and the fact that you've kept us out of trouble and always looking out for us. And I do wish you well. We're going to miss you, but I understand why you're leaving and where you're going, and I certainly appreciate your service to the city and to us. Thank you.
Drew.
Scott?
I appreciate all the help you've given Chase and Drew. No, it's interesting that we sit on this dais with the city manager at one end and the city attorney at the other end. The reality of it is that as elected officials, we've got a lot of great ideas, a lot of great visions, a lot of passion, a lot of desire, but we have to have two people that keep us out of trouble and they keep us on track. And Margaret has played a huge instrumental role in keeping us out of trouble, keeping us on track, and keeping us on sound legal footing. And sometimes that goes unnoticed, and but that's okay. It doesn't speak to the importance of it. Sometimes legal likes to be a little unnoticed, right? But what they have done and what Margaret and her team does day in and day out is something that we probably don't recognize enough, and we don't speak to it enough. But one of the things that can get municipalities in the biggest financial trouble is making major legal mistakes and errors. And you have to have somebody that's looking out into the best interest of the city and helping to keep the elected officials on track and in that sound legal footing. And so for that, I truly appreciate the service that you've given to the community. I know that a lot of the days can be quite lengthy, and just because you go home doesn't mean the mind is always at home. The body might be at home, but a lot of times the mind's back at the office, and I get that and I appreciate that. I got to tell you, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I know why you're doing this, and I know it's been something that you've weighed out for quite a bit of time, and I'm extremely happy for you and your husband in this chapter. And there's another city here in the state of Florida that is going to be very fortunate to be getting your services and your experience. So hopefully you don't put in 20 more years there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But no,
Never know.
so yeah, great service, and I'm very happy for you that this is going to be an opportunity that you're going to be able to take advantage of. So
Thank you very
good
much,
work.
Mayor. I always like to tell the people I'm working with that treat the city's money like it's your own. And by golly, you'd be surprised how good you'll take care of your own money.
Mhm. Yeah. If we could count over 2 decades of service, the number of dollars you've saved us in adequate protection, it would easily be in the millions. It's incalculable. When we first talked, I looked at the role of a city attorney. You have 2 responsibilities. You got a lot of jobs, but 2 responsibilities. One is to keep us out of trouble, and the other is when we get into trouble, get us out of trouble. And I can't thank you enough for that. A couple of pieces of business in relation to that. We'll have a conversation as a council next week on what direction that we want to take moving forward. I wanted to make sure that that was agended properly so that, first of all, the 5 of us would have plenty of time to think about it and ask proper questions, and second of all, that the public knows what's going on and that they're prepared, knowing that that's coming up on the agenda in 2 weeks. With that, I would entertain a motion to accept the resignation as presented with an effective date of December 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. I thought about it, but 5-0. Thank you, Margaret.
Adios, mi amigos.
Not yet. You still got 2 months.
2 months.
City manager.
Thank you. Mayor, 2 items. First, I noticed when Councilman Stiltner talked about the person on the far left and the person on the far right, and then talked about keeping the city out of trouble, he only went to the far right. So I'm here to report on some trouble.
no.
So, no, not really. We started today with our recycling changes, effective October 1st. We left a lot of little notes in people's bins about the way they recycle glass still. So we're going to give them a 4 to 6 week kind of educational, hands-on educational, where we'll take the glass but leave the note instead of just leaving the glass and stirring things up. The other thing we're looking at, along with the glass recycling suspension, is there's a company in Erie, Pennsylvania that's cold, and they want to come down south, and they do glass recycling. So I have a conversation with that gentleman tomorrow, as well as a gentleman that's, he's in Minnesota, and he's cold, so he's coming down to Sarasota to work for a company called Strategic Materials that does recycled glass currently. So we're working on some ways that maybe Port Orange and other Southeast Volusia or East Volusia cities can get into the business of not just giving our recycling that ends up in the landfill, but ends up being recycled. It will be a cost to us. The question is the cost something we want to absorb, or is it something we want to think about at least absorbing 1 year and then doing a rate increase? We also have our waste contract coming up this year, so that will tell a lot as far as a rate increase goes as well. So I think those 2 or 3 things can coincide, and later on in the year we can consider what we're going to do and come to a conclusion. So that's what's going on with the glass recycling. We continue with the education campaign. I know the media's picked up on it. Yes, Christine, the media's picked up on it as well, and I would assume they're helping us get the word out as to what we're doing.
We're paying, what, roughly, if I remember the numbers right, about $30 a ton for trash and $80 a ton for
45 and 80.
recycling?
45 for 34. 34 for trash, 80 for recycling.
34 for trash and 80 for recycling.
Yes.
So if we're paying more to send it to a recycler who can't recycle it, and you're sending it to the landfill anyway, then it costs a lot less for us to just send it to the landfill.
For now, yes.
For now. So, and then of course the items that do get recycled, even though it costs more to pick that up, we get a rebate for aluminum, we get a rebate for paper. So albeit it doesn't cover the entire cost of it, we know that we're making an impact on the environment that way. At least we know those items are getting recycled, and I think that's something that people are asking about. Is, well, we know glass is recyclable, but that it's about the economics of it ever since China pulled out of the market.
Well, and the question that we asked early on, and we've asked it in the septic to sewer and a bunch of other environmental programs, is what's our value of environmental? What's the environmental concern value? Do we care enough to spend money on recycling glass? And if it's, you know, I think I have a personal limit, but if it's a limit that council's willing to live with, we might want to work with Sarasota or the gentleman that doesn't want to be in Erie, Pennsylvania anymore, and work with them to pay a little bit extra to get that glass into a recycling place instead of just throwing it in the landfill. Because once it goes in the landfill, it's there for a long time.
And the landfill has a finite amount of space.
It does.
Let us know what you find out.
Yes, sir.
What else you got for us?
I'm going to answer. Okay. Nothing else. Thank you very much for a very pleasant second reading last night. Best ever for me. Seriously, I thank you. It was best ever.
And you weren't sweating bullets down there too much. Okay, you need to read this now. Council committee reports.
Council committee reports.
Let's see this one. To see TPO. River to see TPO.
River to see TPO.
Well
Big
done.
fella next to me.
What does TPO stand for? Just check. I think she knows.
She told me transportation planning.
Is that what she said? She was right.
Pulled it right out of there.
Absolutely.
Smart Girl Scouts, let me tell you.
So they finalized and approved the long-range planning for TPO out to 2045, which is great in concept, but it's always a moving target if you look at the traffic needs and the roadway infrastructure needs of the county. A lot of things are happening quicker maybe in some areas than initially forecasted, in other areas maybe a little slower, so it's always a living document, but they have updated that and approved that out to 2045. The TPO meetings, we're still having a lot of discussions about how we're going to fund projects in the future.
We got one this week.
Yeah.
So we'll have more to report.
Yep. Got another one coming up, and those are going to be continuing discussions as everybody tries to figure it out. And a lot of that's going to probably involve a lot of contacts in Tallahassee and a lot of trips up to the state capitol. But I guess there's good and
See
bad
all
news.
those Girl Scouts leaving right now? They're not going to get to see you drop the gavel in a minute.
A lot of those are going to involve us, all the cities going up to Tallahassee fighting for the same dollars, probably more so than we've ever seen. So just be prepared for that and know that that'll be something that'll be coming for this dais to figure out how are we going to throw our hat in those rings. The county council had, even though it's not an intersection in our city, I think it's worth noting the Pioneer Trail and State Road 415 intersection, which plays a huge role for a lot of our residents along a corridor that borders our city and New Smyrna. There have been some really bad crashes out there. The county staff has taken direction and lead and started to implement a lot of additional temporary safety features to that intersection. They've installed some rumble strips out there on some of the roadways. They have gone ahead and put stop signs on both sides of each part of the intersection. They're looking at a lot of tree trimming, trying to really open that up. It's got a lot of challenges. Yeah, but they are trying to do everything they can right now to make some temporary, immediate changes because the amount of traffic crashes is concerning, but it's the severity of the crashes as well. When one happens over there, it's really bad. With the impacts and the growth of our city along the Pioneer Trail corridor, at the same time you've got the New Smyrna growth on their side of that corridor, and then the likelihood of an interchange at Pioneer and I-95, that area is just going to continue to see more and more traffic. So county today unveiled a traffic plan on their agenda today on a study that was done. It's about 130 pages if you want to check it out. It's very comprehensive. It's on their website and agenda from today. One of the things they're leaning towards is the possibility of a roundabout intersection, which before you would jump to judgment, I would say take a look at the studies because they are absolutely impressive to show you how much safer roundabouts are than traditional intersections. And they've actually got an overlay of a roundabout on that intersection because when I first heard it, I was like, there's no way, that's just not going to work there. The right of way is not there. Well, sure enough, let's give it to the engineers for a little while, let them move some stuff around and see. It's actually pretty neat. Yeah. It looks very, very doable. It's got about a $3 million price tag on it with about a 3 to 6 year time frame on it if that's put forward. So it just, not that it's in our city, but it impacts a lot of our residents. We've got a tremendous amount of residents that go west for work every morning, and that's an easy way to go out that Pioneer Trail corridor to merge into 44.
That intersection west with a four-way stop is a royal mess at 5 o'clock anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Forgetting the safety standpoint, the traffic standpoint, there's a lot that needs done there.
Well, and it's just not, it's not the same little sleepy rural intersection it was 25 years ago.
No, it's not.
And so it's outlived its lifespan for sure. So that's something that's going on and a heavy topic in minds on a lot of elected officials in southeast Volusia County. That's what I got for TPO.
You got one more thing to read. General Employees Pension Plan.
General Employee Pension Plan.
General Employees Pension Plan. Who's that?
That would be me as well. So not a whole lot to offer. Rounding out the fiscal year, we will be on a positive note, but we won't meet the assumed rate of return for an annual basis, but at least it's in the positive, and we'll hope for better market values and returns going forward into the next fiscal year. And I think we've got one seat to fill on that board, right?
Yes.
Yeah, one more seat to fill on that board. That, am I wrong on that, Jake? That one comes back to council? That's a council appoint, or no?
I don't think so. I think
What?
that's just our board.
Okay. I couldn't remember if there was one seat on that board that's
I
appointed by
for-
the council. It's
That's
not.
just police and fire.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
police.
people that are interested in serving on that still have to fill out the form with Robin?
That's correct.
Okay, so if anybody is interested in serving on the General Employee Pension Board, we do have
It is a
position to fill.
citizen.
Yeah,
It is a citizen position.
correct.
If anybody, certainly it'd be nice if we had a citizen who has some financial planning background. That would be.
A background in finance to some degree is very beneficial on those boards, for sure.
Anything else come
Or
before-
previous pension,
Mhm.
Previous pension.
previous
experience,
pension
yeah.
experience.
Anything else come before us this evening?
No, sir.
If not, go ahead.
Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Great job.